You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
All right, welcome back to Pro Booth Talk. Lap, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So about 15 minutes ago, I decided we were going to talk about ChatGPT today because somehow time got away from me and I didn't prepare a topic. And as I was writing to Lap to let her know, I realized, man, there's someone that knows way more about ChatGPT than me that I reach out to whenever I'm having chat
You
issues.
should have used ChatGPT to help you prep to talk about ChatGPT.
Well, I kind of did. So that
Well,
other voice is Jason Cage. If anyone doesn't know, Jason, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jason Cage. So in the photo booth world, we're Photobly Photo Booth down here in Houston. We're kind of a vintage vibe niche that's been doing really well. Before that, I was a radio host for 20 years. I'm also a senior marketing director because don't we all have like 8 other jobs of some kind? So I work remote. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a nuclear factory in here with all the screens that I monitor in this room. But yeah, part of that job too, I do a lot of AI operations for a company called TogetherWork, which is where I also do marketing. So lots of automations and, you name it. There's a whole world of stuff out there these days.
So if anyone is thinking, man, I know Jason Cage's name, but I'm not sure where, it's probably from listening to Pro Booth Talk. So I mention him every time there's something cool that I know and have to attribute it to him.
Do you? Because I don't listen. I tend to skim.
That's all right. Most notably, the thing that's gotten the most attention is your automations on the iPad that so many people just overlooked. That was a game changer for a lot of people.
Which, by the way, came from me asking ChatGPT, telling it what I wanted to do, and to come up with a process or a method to make that happen. And part of that conversation, it said, there's like an app that you could download. I was like, what? And so then it walked me through getting the app and then setting all that up. And I was like, this is I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
Not that stage.
Yeah, it's an Apple app too. So a lot of times you don't even have to download it. It's part of there.
It's already there. Shortcuts app, which they always change, which annoys me. It's like every update, it's going to be a little bit different or crappier. They break stuff and you got to go back and.
Yeah, it's one of the apps that they change a lot too. The user interface, like it's a completely different way to access things every time.
Yeah, I don't know how it's designed, but if you don't know, to back up, this is my radio-ness going back, giving context what we're talking about. The Shortcut app it's on the iPad or iPhone too, and it's basically like if this happens, if this app opens, put it into guided access or send a text or download a thing or open this other app, or there's just a million different kind of triggers with subsequent events that can happen after that trigger happens, and you can build that on your iPad, on your iPhone. So like I know for me the biggest thing was I just wanted to be able to put it in. If a client turned the thing on and put it on Wi-Fi, it would automatically launch the app. It'd put it in guided access. It would send me a text letting me know that it was activated, and then off it goes, right? So they wouldn't have to do anything. And that's
amazing.
It's amazing. And then if I can also send it a text, which I do now, so where I can send it a text message, and I've got it set up to where
you can send ChatGPT a text message.
No, his iPad directly.
I'm talking about iPads. Which, by the way, you can use ChatGPT for texting too. But this is on the iPad. This is like automations baked into the iPad itself. We're not even getting into the AI stuff yet. This is just a workflow that you can set up on your iPad or iPhone to where a baked-in app called Shortcuts, to where whatever your trigger is, say it's when this snap pick opens, make all these other events happen, right? Put it in guided access, connect it to Wi-Fi, send a text message, whatever. And then conversely, you can have it to be when it receives a text message that has a certain phrase, that will trigger a series of events. Like for me, I can send a text message to it. If somebody closes SnapPick, for example, I can just send a text message that says SnapPick 2, which is whatever booth it is, and it'll restart SnapPick. And then once SnapPick's open, I can remote in using SnapPick, right? Because they've got that ability, and then I can restart the event, refresh it, all those good things. So
can I just say that this is a really useful topic today, specifically today, this morning, because I have a selfie booth that's sitting out in LA Sunset on Sunset Boulevard, which is like an hour in traffic, an hour and a half away from me. And I had a scenario today. So I want to ask you, there is guided access on the iPad, right?
Yeah.
This is one of those iPads where the guided access requires you to tap the physical button.
This will do it automatically.
Yeah.
So that's what the workflow does. So you can have it to be like when there's a lot of triggers. You can have it just be when the Wi-Fi connects. The next step is to open SnapPick, and then the next step is to put SnapPick into guided access, right? Like that. There's that.
What about the iPads that require you to physically touch the
It's the
the
same thing.
power?
Right, correct. This will do it without you physically having to touch.
I
But
had to,
it
guys. You
won't.
guys, I had to send someone right now this morning to run out
Unless
there.
something's changed, Jason, like you're about to say.
No,
I don't know,
no. I've shared this with you before, Lap. You should know. But you do still, like, unless I'm wrong, I can't find a way to exit guided access without powering
Yes,
it down still, or else
that's
using
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was trying to do this
So
morning.
you
Oh,
can
Is
yeah,
there
start.
a
so-
you can
workaround for that?
Start guided access,
That I
but
can do.
I can't
Yeah,
end
there is.
guided access.
There is no automation for exiting guided access. There's not a lot of
Okay.
automations on there, period, that I know of to allow you to undo something. Like, I don't think you can close an app. There used to be, I could send a text and shut the whole iPad down, like literally do that. But even now, it's got a secondary prompt that pops up that you have to click to shut it down. So we do a lot of trade show like stuff to where, like, I've sold a lot of booths to trade show to like different, most of the company I work for on the side. But they go to trade shows and I didn't want them to have to do a lot. So like this allows me to, they can just plug the thing in and it pretty much starts everything they need. And then I can also text it. I know what it sends me an alert. So I know, oh, great, they've got it set up. Like, it's powered on. If it loses power, it'll send me a text saying, hey, it's been disconnected from power. So I can text them. You could even have it just text, say it's a bar owner. You could have it text the bar owner saying, hey, your photo booth lost power. Go plug it back in. Like that sort of thing. There's lots of stuff like that. And I've kind of built a Windows version of that now for my own, like my print counter app that I use ChatGPT to help me build. They actually built it for me. So that way when like the prints get low, it'll send me a text and send whoever a text and that sort of stuff.
This is so useful with all the selfie iPad booths that are being sold. Like that's like the push in our industry, right? So right now what you're referring to is just built into the iPad with
Mhm.
shortcuts. Is that
Yeah.
what I'm
Correct.
Right.
So I was originally thinking there's a thing called
Do you
like
guys
what's it,
see me
DKM.
speechless?
That's how I was. That's why I'm like, this is a game changer. And then there's a YouTube video. So if you go to YouTube, I forgot the title, but it's like game changer for iPad photo booths, and it's automations game changer for iPad photo booths. Just type that in, you'll see me.
I'm taking
Yeah,
note
so
of
it walks
this.
me through building this kind of workflow. And again, every time iOS comes out, they do some kind of new update. It gets a little janky, and you have to kind of go back and refigure where stuff's at because I don't know why they changed this app because I don't know who's using it. And I'm terrified that they're going to be like, not enough people use it, and let's just stop.
I think a lot of people use it because I was already using it before you mentioned this to me, but I was using it in my personal life, and I don't know why it never like clicked that I could be using it on all the iPads I use for work as well. But like I use it like when I pull into the gym, like all my stuff automatically changes to my gym mode, like my watch changes over and my app goes into like
because you geofence it, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
that's
I use
cool
it for a lot of things already.
Is you can use that like to where if you know where the venue's going to be, like you could technically geofence it around the venue and say, hey, when this iPad enters this space, then have these events happen, have all these things trigger and all these things,
or leaves the space if you want to see what time your staff is leaving or something like that.
Yeah, and it could
so
text
when
you
you're doing
it's left the geofence that you've created for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing all this programming, are you having to have the iPad physically in your possession to be able to do this, or can you push these updates through remote?
You would want for this, you'd have to do it with it.
So not necessarily. I mean, you could remote into your iPad using. I mean, I guess you'd have to have because you can FaceTime in and control your iPad remotely, but you'd have to have someone like answer that FaceTime call.
Okay, but I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you can like anyone that is upset that the SnapPick remote in is sometimes unreliable. You can completely like remote in and control every aspect of your iPad now, but via FaceTime. If you watch like the Apple like keynotes, they kind of promoted it as like now you can help old people. Like when your mom doesn't know how to close an app, you could FaceTime her and take control of her iPad, but you can do everything remotely.
When did they push this update through?
Oh man, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah. So if you have like self signal, that'd be a great way to someone's got to answer the call though, right? Like once you're FaceTiming
but
in.
I didn't even know that you had that capability.
Yeah, but it's great. Like if you have a hosted event and, because a lot of times we just remote in instead of troubleshooting. Hey, the event's starting in 10 minutes. I'd rather just jump in and fix it instead of walking you through it. So it's a lot easier. Or if you have a long-term installation at a bar, you could just tell the manager, hey, I'll remote in, just click accept and I could go remote in.
Does that give you like, I've never used it, honestly. Does that let you use like a little cursor or like you can use wherever basically it shows you on your screen what that screen is, right? And you're just then tapping away.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You just take full control of the
iPad. It's like TeamViewer. Is it like TeamViewer and it's just free with FaceTime? There's no subscription or anything?
Exactly. It's just part of FaceTime. Yeah.
Do you hit like, I'm sure there's probably some kind of like share access screen or something, and they have to click like yes, and then
Yeah, something like that.
yeah,
I can't.
cool. No, that's
Can't
great.
remember.
So there you go. Another
That
great
is
feature.
wild.
So once you know all this, then you can go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I'm trying to set this up in shortcuts. Here's what I want it to do," and then let ChatGPT explain to you all the process to go through and set that up in shortcut.
Great segue. So we're 10 minutes in and not talking about ChatGPT at all. That's okay. That's kind of how we roll, but
I will
it's been
say
useful
AI,
content though.
it's AI, and AI is this overarching word that does mean stuff like what we just described. It's just workflows and machine learning and like all the things that help you automate and get stuff done faster.
Yeah, so we want to touch on some of the basics because I feel like anytime I mention AI in groups, people still sound like they're not using it unless it's to like make themselves a Barbie or something, or using it in their photo booths. But this is specifically not using it in your photo booth, but using it to help run your business and things like that. And you can get incredibly complicated and in depth with which Jason does, but we're going to keep very basic, just using your basic ChatGPT, and maybe get into some very basic custom GPTs that are super easy to create. So Lap, let me start with you because I feel like you're one of those people that don't use
I am one of
ChatGPT.
those. If you can tell by my questions, I definitely am one of those people that do not use AI to the full advantage. I mean, like I just the basic shortcuts in Apple. You guys are surprising me with this, and I feel like these are just so valuable tools. These tools are so valuable that I just am not aware of because you're juggling so many things. But I don't use ChatGPT for anything. I think I had to do a summary for being a keynote speaker one time, but that's the extent of what I use ChatGPT for. So I'm really curious to hear like all the cool things that you do. I know we touched base about it a few times, Jason
Mm-hmm.
Whaley, but I mean, I'm like most people, like I don't know all
Sure.
the capabilities.
Let me just tell you some of the stuff I do, and then you'll just to kind of give you some ideas, right? And then from then you can just ask. We don't have to get super. I'm not going to try to confuse you or whatever, but like a lot of people, like you say, they're treating it almost like a search engine, right? You're just going to go and type like, what is 7 times, like very high level questions.
Yes,
You
yeah.
got to think of it like this is an expert that you have on tap. But just like if you walk, this expert, it will get to know you, but when you first walk up to it, it doesn't know you at all. And you don't know what it's an expert in yet. So if you walk up to a guy on the street who happens to be an engineer, because you can ask GPT, hey, I need you to be an expert engineer. Not that I would trust, the blueprints it gives me necessarily. The first question they're going to go is, great, yes, I'm an engineer. What do you want, right? And if you say, I want a house, it's going to be like, okay, well, here's 4 walls, and no, I need the house that's got 2 stories, and oh, I didn't know that, right? So the more context you can give it, the better you are explaining exactly what you want, the more you're going to get back from it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
like, for example, like I literally write software with this thing at this point. I don't know coding at all, but like you could easily go to the ChatGPT. I think it's like 4.0. It's pretty good at coding. And my first step was, I want to create an application. I don't know anything about coding. I don't know what I want to do, but here's what I want the application to do, right? Like I'm a photo booth business. Well, if I stopped there, it would have been like, okay, great. Well, here's an application, right? Or here's an idea. But what I normally do is I say, I don't even know what to ask you. So can you just ask me a bunch of questions until you fully understand what I'm trying to do? And then once you understand that fully, then we'll go to the next step and you can kind of guide me on what to do, right? So first it'll go, great. Well, what kind of application you trying to make? And I'm like, well, I need it to do this. Okay, cool. What's this for? Who's it going to serve? All those types of things. And by the time it's done asking me these questions, then I can click, great, awesome, make that program. And it's going to go, great, here's all this code. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do with this code. Can you explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, where to put this code or what to do with this code? And it goes, okay, yes. So first thing you got to go is down here and type in this thing and do this thing. And then you take the code and you put it over here. And then you're going to save the code. And I'm like, okay, cool. I did that. I double click the code. Oh, it didn't work. It gave me this error. I go back to it and say, oh, this is the error it gave me. Oh, okay. Well, here's what's broken. Go back. And then it's just kind of walking me through this process, right? So you literally kind of have to just treat it like you're walking up to somebody on the street. And if you don't know what you want, you're going to have to ask it to help you figure out what you want first. And if you do know what you want, the better you get at explaining that, the faster that expert's going to be able to help you get what you want. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So writing code is a thing. Another thing I recently did, which was huge, was you can go to data.google.com and you can export like like all of your Gmail data, right? So like your emails. So for the past 6 months, anytime I closed a gig, you look beautiful, by the way. Let's see. Anytime I closed a gig, right? Anytime I got the business, I tagged that in Google. Like you can just easily create a little tag. I made a tag called closed. So now in all of those emails threads that I've ever like got business out of, I've got 6 months of that. So I went to data.google.com. I exported that data. I basically asked ChatGPT, hey, I've got all this data. I don't know how to get it to you though in a way that you can understand. Here's the format it is. What do I need to do? And it goes, oh, you can go to this website and actually convert this data over to this, and then you can come back and give it to me here. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I went and did that first, and then I came back to ChatGPT, and I was like, all right, here's what I want to do. I'm a photo booth business. Here's what I do. I'm trying to create a standardized sales template so that my virtual assistant can have these standardized templates on how to respond to leads. But I want you to base it on the actual emails that I have sent clients that have actually closed deals, right? So I want you to first go through all of this. Here's that thing you just told me to go convert and give to you in this way. Go through, analyze this, pick out any themes or phrases or concepts or just flows or tone, all of those different things. I was like, and even things I might not be thinking of, like use your best judgment on what you think close the deal, patterns, whatever. So I was like, first go do that. And it went, did the whole thing and was like, great, here's what I noticed. And it spit out all of these things that I do that close business. Like you tend to talk this way. Here's the phrase, how you phrase this, here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. You tend to ask for the business this way. And here's the kind of like all of these different steps. I'm like, awesome. That's great. So remember that, right? So we've done that step. And in the same chat, I'm like, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start product by product. I'm going to teach you about the product, or I want you to learn about the product. And then based on that, what we just figured out about what works for me, I'm going to have you create standardized 6 email sequences that will help close this business, right? So anybody, I could give it to Lap and she goes, great, here's the email. And so it's like, awesome. So I was like, and now ChatGPT is really good at like remembering all your previous chats. It can remember everything you've ever told it. You can just give it a
memory
website.
is just getting crazy
It's
good.
getting so good. Like there's a thing called deep research now where you can be like, hey, I need you to go do a deep dive on this topic, and it'll basically think its way through
It's
this.
insane.
Like it's insane.
It'll
So
be
I
like,
had
I'll be done in an hour, and
Yeah,
you'll spend
right.
an hour just like
You come back and
do
it's like went to Lowe's.com and like all these different things.
30 pages of content and information.
Yeah, totally. So then what I did is once I taught about all the products, and I'm like, great, let's go step by step. I've already got this a sequence. Like when a lead first comes in, there's a 6 email sequence that happens through my marketing system, which basically chases down the lead. Like I don't talk to a lead unless they've already responded to that. So assume that they have already responded and given me what I asked for in that email sequence. And now from that, let's create the next email, right? So it started, hey, thanks for the information. Yeah, great. And it gave me this beautiful kind of, structure for that first email that needs to go to the client after that. And you can go back, like, that's kind of cool. Let's shorten it up, make it longer. Here's this, whatever. You can just talk back to it, say, it's a little long, it's a little weird, it sounds a little wonky, a little too salesy. Can you make it more conversational, less salesy, make it, I need it to fit on one iPhone screen. I don't want this to be too overwhelming, yada, yada, yada. And you just kind of get it to where you like it, right? Boom. There's that one. Awesome. Cool. So we're done with that. Let's go to email 2. Like, what's the next email sequence? Say they haven't responded. Like, how should the client, whatever. And you just go through email by email by email until I've built this nice sequence for that product. And then you can go, great, awesome. Now that we've got this structure done, let's just replicate this, but for this product. So here's my website link to that product. Go figure out who this is best for, yada, yada. Create the sequence. And then it created me a new email sequence. And then, so I was able to, and once I got all these emails done, I'm like, cool. I wasn't like just copy and paste them. I'm like, awesome. Now what I want you to do is take all these emails and create a sales playbook. Like take all these emails for all these products and literally go through and create what to do, what not to do, how to say it, how not to say things, how to use these emails, where to use these emails, what they can edit themselves and what they shouldn't edit themselves, like all that stuff, and then compile that into a giant, nice sales PDF document for me. And it was like, great. And then I downloaded it. And now I've got it, right? So I use that all the time. Like that's something that like now I've got a sales rep who's doing sales stuff for me. And I'm like, dude, just look at the sheet. He knows exactly what he can kind of edit and not edit, but he's got the gist of what, like he doesn't have to be a product expert to be able to talk about the product in a way that makes sense. Plus it's standardized. So it's, it's not just, and I don't have to go back and rewrite these emails 100 times because we've all done that. We've tried to make templates and then you end up going back and editing your template anyway, once, it doesn't really save any time. And now that I have that too, it's also something I can feed into automations down the road to where if I want to make this even more automated to where I don't even need the sales guy, I can just say, go to Zapier or one of these other workflow program type websites and say, when an email comes in, analyze it, send it to ChatGPT, make a response, but based on my handbook that we've just created, get that response back, go ahead and save that and send that to the client. Like technically you could just automate all that. But that's just a nutty idea, right? So that was taking data from my Gmail account, asking it how to get it to it because I didn't know what to do. And then you telling it to then go analyze that for my best practices and then creating all this content from it. And then that, I did that in an hour and a half. Like that would have taken weeks and months of back and forth to create that sales playbook. Same thing. And then I was like, great, I had it. So there's this, when a lead first comes in I use a website called Go High Level, which is a marketing platform. But like I wanted an email sequence to where when the lead comes in, I don't have to chase them down. Like it'll automatically send them the first email. It'll wait a day. It'll send them a second email, waits a day or two, whatever, sends them a third. And it does like up to 7 emails in a row. And if they reply at any point in that thread, that automation stops. And of course, I know they've replied. It bumps them over in my funnel to contact established. So I can see in this little column that, oh, these are only the people I need to worry about because they've actually written me back. So I had to create that whole sequence, that whole 7 email sequence. I'm like, my goal is to get them to write me back. Here's the information I need from them. Create a sequence that's going to, not be salesy, fit on one iPhone screen, be easy to consume, but create some urgency to actually get them to like reply. And it did that. It created that whole email sequence for me. And again, if I don't know how to do any of this stuff, I just ask it. Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that can sound, I'm sure, very intimidating for a lot of people that are just starting out. But chat can help you step through that. I haven't done anything like that, honestly, but we do feed in tons of our own emails so that my staff, when my staff uses it to write an email response, it just sounds more like me. You really probably can't distinguish me from my staff because we've been using it for so long that it knows our style very well. And one of the most important things you mentioned, like it's I can't remember what you said, like a genius or a professional or whatever.
An expert,
yes.
Right.
But you always have to understand that it's also like an intern at the same time. Like you can't always just trust everything it says right off the bat. You always have to review it and whatnot. But when I ask it to write an email, if it isn't in my style, if it isn't on point, don't just dismiss it. If you're going to rewrite that email, rewrite the email, but then give it to chat and say, this is actually how I would have responded. Continue that relationship and that learning because it's not going to know you right away. Obviously, it's going to get better and better and better. And I've been using mine for a very long time, and I still have to feed it information and say that's not the style that I write in. So here's what I would have said, and it'll just continue to improve.
So you say intern. I mean, that's true, but it's still an expert. It's like even if you walked up to this Stephen Hawking on the street or Einstein, unless you're really good at explaining what you want, he's not going to know what to give you or how to get it to you or what to say.
Chat often is more concerned with being fast than being right. Also,
yeah, depending on the model, that's definitely true.
So yeah, a lot of times it'll just say some random garbage, and you'll be like, "That's not true at all," and be like, "Great catch."
So it's it hallucinates. That's what they call it, where it's just making shit. I mean, it's basically a really fancy autocomplete is what this is. It really is. I mean, that's how the technology works. It's just exactly based on everything it knows. It's trying to guess what the next word should be, like what you want it to say. That's literally all it's doing. It's a fancy autocomplete. But yeah, I mean, like the better you are explaining what you want, and sometimes I'll just spend 5 minutes talking to it just to figure out what I want, right? Like I just need to know exactly what I'm trying to ask. And it's 90% of being able to ask it the right way. Like if I just said, write me a program, that can do this, it would go, great, here's some code. But if I'm like, give it all the context behind that, like, well, I'm a photo booth owner. Here's what we normally do at the events. Here's what the pictures look like. Here's what I want, let me upload one of the pictures that I normally take so you can see what it looks like, right? It can see things. Here's this. Here's the software that we're currently using that does that, which is fine, but I want to create my own thing, and here's how I want it to go. I want to be able to select a folder. I want it to be able, to watch that folder. I want this to happen. I want this to happen. Is there a way that I can have skin smoothing on this? I want it to have a dial so I can turn the skin smoothing up and down. Like, the more specific I am, it's going to go, oh, awesome. Yeah, I know all the thing. Great, cool. Yes, here's exactly what you need to do, right? And I go, okay, cool. And then once I make it and I go through the process of figuring out how to use it, right? Get it into Notepad, save it as a Python file, double click the thing and it loads. If I'm like, this is ugly, I'll literally go to the snipping tool, which is built into Windows, circle around it, screenshot it, give it to it and say, this looks like crap. I hate the way this looks. Can you make this user interface look better? Yeah, sure. Here, let me clean that up. Spits out new code, copy that, try it. Like, it's just iterating over and over and over. Just like you just said, like, if it doesn't give you what you want the first time, don't give up on it. Keep talking to it, because it's going to go, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you actually wanted it this way. That's way smarter. Or, that's awesome. Or you can be like, I don't know what I want, but I know that's ugly. Is it even possible to make stuff better? Like, that email sounds stupid. Can you make it sound like a Microsoft email? Can you make it sound like, actually, you know what? Here's an email I got yesterday that sounded really good. Can you just figure out why this was good and make it sound like that? And it'll go, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, you want it in this formula. You're trying to do that. Like, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Is
Definitely that type of
huge.
stuff. But I wish I could remember the exact what I was trying to create precisely. And this was almost maybe 2 years ago, 18 months ago. So Chad obviously has changed tremendously since then. But I was trying to create a list of songs that had a specific words in the title.
Nice.
From a certain generation, because in our photo bus we wanted to create like a radio station for a client. And
nice. That's awesome.
It gave me this list of songs, which clearly I could see that the words that I wanted in the title weren't in the title. So I'd say like these they weren't even made up songs. They were just songs that existed that didn't have the specific keywords in the title. And I was like, clearly the word isn't in these titles. And it would just say, oh, you're right. Sorry about that. Let me try again. And it would try again. And it would be ultimately, I think there was no answer. So chat often won't say, there's no response. It'll just make something up if
that's
no
where you could use the deep research and say, hey, go out and actually find. And then it would go like lyric websites, and like it would actually try to go find some actual. And I've got mine set up to where I'm like, don't give me anything that you can't give me the citation for. Like,
it'll make up fake citations as well.
Yeah, I have seen that.
So,
what?
So yeah, there's a story like an attorney that was disbarred because he used chat to create his case. And he asked for citations, and he asked chat, are these real citations? Are these real case laws? And chat told him, yes, they were. So he took them to court, and they weren't. They weren't real citations. They weren't real case laws.
Don't do that.
And this attorney ended up getting disbarred. So
it will help you get from A to B faster, but you got to know what B is already supposed to kind of look like, because you're the one that's got to police that, right? Like, you got to already kind of have some expertise in that area to go, you just made that shit up. Like, you can't.
Yeah, if you're doing like research, but like building, like I did something with Python as well. And again, like you, I don't know anything about coding, but I found a website that had a ton of companies that I wanted to reach out to, like 1,500. And I was like, but they were all kind of built it like you had to click on a link and get the email address and click on the link and go back and forth. So I asked chat if it could do it, and it said no, but you could do it very easily with the code. And I said, well, I don't know how to do that. And they're like, well, here you go. Here's the code, and that'll data mine all those email addresses for you. And the first one didn't work, and I said, well, here's the error code. And within like half an hour, I had designed a program that would crawl this website and pull all the businesses and their email addresses and their phone numbers and the contact people. And then I had this massive Excel sheet that took me like half an hour to data mine. But one of the places that I think a lot of people could be using it are most of the questions that they ask in the forums that everyone gets pissed off about, like just basic camera settings. Like if you upload a photo, like when someone says, what's wrong with this photo? If you just do that to chat, upload that photo and say what's wrong with it, not only will it give largely a better and more intelligent answer, but it will give you like step-by-step instructions, especially if you say what camera you have and things like that. So if you're a newcomer, and like you said, you can upload photos that are good, and we've done that as well. So we've created a custom tech support chat, and we've uploaded a bunch of like standardized photos, and our hosts will take their test shots and upload it to our tech support chat. And basically, we're not completely happy with the results yet, so we're still monitoring it. But chat will say, you need to zoom in a little bit more. Your white balance is off, and it will essentially approve their first photo for us. So we don't have to do that.
Nice, yeah. So it's kind of it's like your eye automated, right? So you're not having to critique their stuff.
Exactly, and it also on that that was something we added secondary, but our primary was our own tech support. So someone will essentially just type in and say, "Hey, my printer's not printing," and it'll ask, what kiosk do you have, and it has all, there's some time to set up. Like we have a document for each one of our kiosks that have like every single piece of hardware and every single piece of software. So when it does give a solution, it knows that we're running a Canon or a M52 Snap Pick on a Surface Pro, and we're using this hot shoe and this flash and this printer, and we have this back screen, and we have a Mac Mini running this operating system inside. So when it answers and gives them a solution, it knows the solution. It's not like, well, if you're using Windows, then it might be this, but if you're using a Mac, it might be this. It could just very quickly. And then you could even go further and not just do like basic tech support, but we create a tone, and we say we want you to be encouraging to the host and let them know that they're doing a good job, or we want them to make sure, let's not create a solution that's going to necessarily fix a problem, but let's do a solution first that's going to make sure the event's still running. So if there's a faster fix, like let's first ask the host, what's going on there? Is it an hour before you start, or is there people online? If there's people online, then it'll say like, okay, kill the camera, let's go to iPad and let's start taking photos. Yeah. If you have an hour, let's take longer and troubleshoot the camera and actually find out what's going on. So, those things certainly take time, and there's a lot of beta testing that we did in Office first, and it's still only at like 90%, but it takes our busy event nights are so much less stressful now.
And that's really the key. Is you think when you first start, you go, what is something that I'm having to do all the time? Like, what's the task that is repetitive? And tech support is definitely a repetitive task. And then it's just thinking, okay, you can even go to ChatGPT and say, this is the problem I have. Can you help me think backwards through this process so that we can figure out a way to automate this? And that's a great way to use GPT to figure it out, because same thing, if you're always having to send the same kind of email to a client, or the text always asking you, why is the printer broken? Is there a chat bot, or is there a way that we can upload DNP's, user guide or user manual or whatever, and create a little custom GPT where it can just automatically ask these guys questions and then go, oh, well, based on this, you need to go and make sure the roles or whatever. That's brilliant for that type of stuff. And you could even just open your booth, take a picture of all the guts inside your booth, send that to ChatGPT.
There you go. We didn't do that.
You could, and you could just go based on this, deconstruct how this booth is connected. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll clarify it. And then
you could even say give me suggestions to run more efficiency too.
Correct.
What am I?
Yeah. But once you have that, you could say, I need to create a user manual that a 5-year-old could use. If this booth fell off the truck and everything just disconnected, how could you explain to them to put this all back together? And it could do that, right? Little stuff like that. That's kind of what we've been doing a lot lately, is like you say, kind of creating SOPs and just ways to speed things up. And that's been huge, just for documenting those processes. And then of course, like any SOP, I give it to them in the field and say, give me feedback on what you don't understand. Yeah.
So if you're not paying for ChatGPT, first of all, pay for ChatGPT. It's $20 and it's the best $20 per month you'll ever spend. What you get for that, you get more image generation. I just learned recently that you can upload more documents, but we use it for the custom GPTs, which Chat has made it very easy to make custom GPTs, very basic ones. You just upload documents and give it some basic instructions. There's even a walkthrough where it will ask questions and auto create. And if you have any troubles, again, just ask ChatGPT how to do it better.
I don't know what to tell you to do with this, so ask me questions and then tell me what to tell you. This will work, right? Yes.
So we have that one that I just mentioned, our custom tech support GPT. But then we just lost our salesperson that was with us for a number of years, Shannon. And I'm training a new salesperson, but it's very hard to train a new salesperson because you only get so many calls per day. You only have so many scenarios per day, and you could do role playing, but that takes up my time and I'm not that creative, so I created a role playing model for our ChatGPT for a custom GPT, and it's fantastic. We have like 3 different levels, from basically just social events that are ready to book. They just have some questions about what's included in different packages of ours, but it also knows our pricing. So if they say the wrong price, at the end it'll be like, and you quote this, but is actually the wrong price, and things like that. And then the middle one that starts incorporating some of the corporate clients and some of the tougher questions. And then the level 3 is like, you need a full knowledge of all our stuff and knowledge of things that we don't incorporate, and you need like analytical details, and you need to be able to deal with like a high pressure client that is short with you and being irritated and wants answers right now. So they just basically say start roleplay level 2, and it acts like a customer. It's like, hey, how are you doing? I'm planning a mitzvah for my
right.
daughter in 2 weeks.
What do you guys
have
have?
A photo with it could help me? And they just engage with it. And at the end, it gives them a report of things that they could have said differently, areas that they did really well, upgrade options that they missed out on, and all of that stuff is just bam right there in their face. Or else we had it set up for a minute where it would stop in the middle and say, hey, that price is actually wrong. And, I've kind of gone back and forth whether I like it to report it all at the end or to break in the middle, but you can set it up however you want to do it. And that's been really valuable.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can do that same kind. If you like, once you have that like sales playbook type thing that you've created, that's another knowledge base that you can upload to it, so that it's kind of got the standardized responses. So if it goes, hey, this person just asked me this, I don't know what to say, it'll be like, oh, well, here's what you need to say, or here's how to say it, or go ask them this first, and then then say this, that type of stuff. That's great.
You want to test out my sales? You want to test out my sales chat lap?
So you can share that. Yeah, you can share that.
You can't share that. Send it over to me.
So custom GPT.
I could try and run it right now and see it on the podcast. See how it goes.
So my favorite thing to do with GPT is like what you're saying, but like I like to have it deconstruct how someone else figured something out, like how they've done it.
This is also overwhelming for me, you guys, and I'm sure most people are going to be like me. So I kind of want to ask,
start from the basic.
Okay, like what is a good first project for me to just kind of like get my toes wet and like not be so, because everything you guys are talking about is amazing, mind blowing, but it just is beyond. I know you guys, it's basic for you guys, but for me, that I just don't even use ChatGPT. What's like a good base to start just getting into it? Like, what's a good project?
My first thing is you got to change your mindset about what it is and how you talk to it. Like it's a person.
Yeah, it's not
Google.
Like a person.
Don't treat it
it's
like
not
Google. If you had a buddy, say you didn't know who Jason was, but you knew he knew all about photo booths, and you didn't know anything about photo booths, when you first called Jason, what's the first thing you're going to say to Jason? Like whatever that question is, right? And what you're going to learn is the more you talk to Jason about photo booths, you're going to get really good at when you call him, knowing exactly what you need to say and how you need to say it, and exactly what he needs to know to give you the answer you need to know about photo booths. But in the beginning,
so it's kind of like a photo booth friend that you make, and then you start getting to know them. They start getting to know you, and then you know what they become experts at and how to communicate with them.
That's exactly it.
And you really have to treat it like a person. And that's one of the hardest things about implementing our tech support chat is like when we were testing it, our tech support that's in-house, when someone would reach out and say, hey, I'm having an issue, we would just copy and paste their problems into our thing and see what their responses were. And then we would copy and paste the responses and paste it into there to see how that interaction went. But then when we released it to our hosts, we started seeing issues right away because they don't talk to it like it's a human. Where they talk to us like we're humans because we are, they'll just be like, camera's not working. Like,
which can also be good if you train it like you could even tell you program it like, hey, these guys are going to be dumb and not talk to you like a person, so just kind of anticipate what they're trying to ask me, and you can literally tell it that, and it'll be like, for example, they might say camera's broken, and what they mean is,
which is very common,
you know what I mean, what they mean is right.
So really, like the best thing is to like talk to it like, and I don't mean like all the pleasantries and stuff like, hey, how's your day? I mean just like complete communication.
I always say thank you because I'm afraid it's going to like take over the world one day, and I wanted to know that I was
nice. Please and thank yous are nice. Nice, but you don't need to ask how it's doing. You don't need to ask like if it was up late last night.
I guess that's what I'm trying to tell you. That though is like step one is you got to get your frame of reference different, and so I would just go to ChatGPT and start talking to it, and you're gonna because you can tell
Like
it to.
become friends with Chat GPT is
Well,
what you're
because
saying.
every new chat you start is like having a brand new friend that you can turn into any friend you want it to be. So if you need a friend who's an expert on boats because you just bought a boat, you go to ChatGPT, you open up that new chat and say, "Hey, I just bought a new boat. I need you to become an expert on boats."
Yeah, or the same thing with Photo Booth. Like you can turn on the voice prompting, and there's been several times where I've had just like some brainstorming I was trying to figure out, and on my drive home, I would just say, I'm thinking about this social media campaign, and because ChatGPT is a GPT that is designed to encourage chatting and conversation, it will help you explore that idea. It'll say, well, that's a great idea. What aspect, like what goals are you hoping to achieve? And it'll kind of like a psychologist. It'll just like draw information out and make you think about the things that you weren't already thinking about and kind of lead you in the right direction.
That's so wild. So just start the conversation, basically, is what you're saying.
Just start the conversation. I'm going to try. Hopefully this will work out. It will need to be able to hear my headset, but we'll try it. If it doesn't, then I'll delete it out. Start roleplay level 2.
All right, let's jump into level 2 of the sales roleplay. I'll be the customer and you handle the interaction. Ready? Here we go. Hi, I'm considering booking a photo booth for our corporate event next quarter. We want something that stands out. What can you offer that's unique?
I'm so little sweet right now, Jason. You're so.
How about
A glam booth? Great choice. Our glam booth delivers a sleek black and white airbrush
Okay.
look.
So
So your
they said-
ChatGPT is the salesperson, and you're playing the customer
not. And
role?
I say that, I mean, it can be, but it started out, and then when I just said how about Glam Booth, it changed over. So like I said, we're only at like 90%, and we're still working through that. But ideally, it would suggest that it doesn't know what a Glam Booth is. Like that sounds interesting. Can you tell me more about it? Like what is it? But it's an incredible tool, and even if you don't take the time to set up a Chat GPT, I think you can just start a basic prompt and just say, hey, I own a photo booth company. Can you run through a role play for me? And I think it will do a pretty good job just with really zero information.
That's pretty interesting. I think it's just a matter of it sounds like it's just a matter of just getting started.
Check. Can't hear you.
So anyways.
Did you lose battery? Can you hear us?
I was turned me off, but I could still see you two. I thought Jason had clicked the silence caller button.
Silence caller. All right, we've heard enough from Cage today.
I was like, damn, okay, cool. Guess I interrupted too much. Which I do. That was great. Yeah, I saw your demo there. You gonna pick it up and keep talking, or it's up to you?
Yeah. So essentially, as far as the basics, just start using it. That's the best advice. Is just start using it. Ask some basic stuff. Next time you are going to the forum to ask a technical question, try and ask chat as well. See what kind of response you get. Or else, if you want to just practice and get to know the responses, just go to the forum and grab a bunch of random questions that people have asked about, how cameras work, or even responding to a client, or really anything that someone's asked, and ask chat. Feed it your website. Say, this is my photo booth company. Tell me what you think. And even if you're, I'm not sure if deep research is only for pro users at $20 a month. But if you have deep research, have it analyze your website, and it will analyze the hell out of your website.
You can take screenshots of your website and just give it the screenshot and say, how can I make this better for conversions? Or, how can I make this, look better for catching someone's attention? Or is there, on-site improvements to get them to scroll further that you can think of? Like little stuff like that. It'll dig into that website. Just off a picture.
Yeah. So I had lunch with John Place at PBX, and he's doing the foam parties on the side. The conversation came up because I specifically have a struggle here in Vegas during the summer keeping my staff, because we still do some jobs remotely and white label out and outsource and stuff, but there's not any jobs in Vegas. We ramp up our staff, and then during the summer people are getting 1 or 2 jobs a month because we just don't have the volume anymore. And then right out of summer we come into one of our peak seasons, and we don't have any staff anymore. We're like, we have our like core people and we're training all this new staff again. So I was trying to think of ways that we can keep our staff engaged through the summer and keep, a few jobs coming in. And John mentioned that that's one of the reasons he started his foam party company. So I was looking into that and thinking, okay, can we, like, right away I saw that we wouldn't really profit from foam parties, but if it just keeps them employed and keeps them around, it would be worth it for me when the busy season comes to still have all this staff that's trained without starting over. So I used deep research and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this foam party company in Las Vegas. Tell me what you think. And deep research isn't instant like regular chat. It took probably 40 minutes, but it came back with competitor analysis of every company in town, where the holes were, where my marketing campaign should focus, the area of expertise that I should be in that's grossly under volumed right now or overlooked right now. Like, the amount of like data it collects and reports back is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a great step one, especially for anything. If it's like, hey, I'm looking at this vintage photo booth. First thing you can do is say, is this worth getting? Like, go through the market and see if this is something that's worth having. Who's doing it? Who's not? What are they charging? What could I do with this that might be different than no one else is doing currently? Show it a picture of the booth that you're thinking about getting before it goes off and does the research, and then it'll pop back and go, yeah, it looks like based on blah 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 blah. Here's what they're doing and they're charging, and here's their positioning, and here's all these things, and here's what you could do and your positioning, and then for the next step, it'd be great.
Mhm.
Based on all that, write me ad copy, write me a website copy, write me all these things. Create my whole marketing strategy. Help me launch this over the next 60 days, because now it's pulling from all that data. It just sucked up.
Yeah, and if you want to, it doesn't know your demographic. So if you want some like basic marketing stuff, it's generally going to start with like, the cheesy call to actions and the stuff like the shop now before our weekend special runs out. The stuff that I personally don't participate in. But again, you can teach it that as well. Just say, if we want to, call out Alan Berg, load one of his books in and just say, I want some sales emails based on the lessons learned in this book, and it'll write those like Alan Berg wrote them, or else whoever your favorite salesperson
I've got a
is.
custom GPT. I think it's called a YouTube summarizer. And so there's a YouTube video because, Alex Shamozy, some of these business like consulting guys, whatever, take that YouTube link, give it to that. And what it'll do is that you don't have to watch it. It'll just go through and summarize all the key points from that YouTube video. I love doing that. And then go, great. Based on those lessons, those teachings, like apply that to Photobly and tell me what to do with my next marketing email or my next whatever. Didn't even have to watch the video, but now I can just use those teachings in the next whatever I wanted to do, right?
It's so mind blowing, you guys.
So that's what I was trying to go back to. Like, I love to use it to help me figure out what someone else was doing. So like if there's a sales strategy, because there's lots of different ways to formulate sales emails, right? Conversational, double spaced, all lead with the hook, give the allegory, go into the slide. Like there's all these like marketing tactics. So I love to find, if I see an email that's really good at it, I'll just take that email copy and say, hey, analyze this from a structure standpoint and figure out why this was so good. And then once it figures that out, I can be like, great, here's what I want to talk about for Photobly tomorrow. Make me an email that's like that. And then it will use that strategy. Like there's brilliant for that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think I saw someone in one of our side groups mention something similar. They just said, hey, Catalina's email was really great. So
that was me.
Email to
I was like, because Catalina's been launching a course, and there's a really structured way to launch a course, which is like a whole email sequence. There's ways you talk about it. There's the problem statements. There's the conversational structure that goes into the slide, goes into the call to action, all that stuff. It's very formulaic. I like the way she did it. So I was literally taking her emails and saying, based on this structure of how she's creating these emails, give me a 5 email sequence. Not with her content. It's just on the formula of like, start with this type of statement. Like, are you struggling? Then go into a whatever, and then you've got your testimonial, and then it slides into the pitch, and then to like that type of stuff. But you could do it with Microsoft emails. You could do it with Tesla emails. You could do it like what I'm trying to say is that you can steal other people's expertise and experience.
Like the motto of how they're going about the approach
without
with
having
it.
to know how to do it. You can have ChatGPT disseminate what that is, and then help you replicate it for your own use.
Almost like a virtual employee.
I mean, but that's kind of what I'm going back to. Like, the more you use it, the better you start to understand what it needs to know, and you'll get better at quickly giving it to it faster, so you get to what you really want faster. Just like if you walked up to Jason, like I was trying to say, he's an expert on photo booths, but if you don't know anything about it yet, you don't really fully know what he needs to know. But as you get to know him, you're going to realize
Right.
when I call Jason, I'm going to go, hey man, I need 4x6 prints. It's a roaming booth. Here's the thing. Like you're going to know all the details that he will need to know to give you what you need back. So it sounds like we're
Right.
all just like getting over your head with it, but what we're doing is we've just used it long enough. We're able to kind of have that brain to go, oh, I know what I can ask it and how to ask it to get that thing that I want back.
Yeah.
And then I can use that to then go ask
And
it
the only
more
thing
stuff.
you can do
Go ahead.
is, like we said, just start using it every day.
Yeah.
Just make a point to use it every day and make it part of your routine. And as far as like being a virtual employee, like we're very, very close. We've got a model right now that whatever you can do on a computer, it can essentially take over and do the clicking and viewing and move around on a website and things like that. I'm not sure if they've got a release date on that, but the price point is supposed to be $20,000 a month. And it has a huge sticker shock from the beginning, but if you realize, I mean, it may not be for a random photo booth company, but that's the equivalent of, I don't know how many hundreds of employees working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with no breaks, no, vacations, no sick time, just doing whatever you can do on a computer, it's able to do. So it's very close to being
It's getting spooky, man. It's
virtual
getting
employee.
spooky. Yeah. I mean, it's all your VAs are really doing a repetitive task, right? That's kind of what you're teaching them to do. The better ones can own some of that, those positions. But if nothing else, like those chatbots are like, that's huge. What you're setting up just for your staff, like any of that stuff to where I don't have to get the phone call at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like they've got a resource to, click through, once.
But I feel like we, as much as I want to start like at the basic levels, it's very difficult for us to do that. So I think we're going to have a lot of questions, and that's good. This certainly is a good topic that we'll do a follow-up on, not only because we didn't cover everything, but also it's evolving constantly. It's going to be changing constantly. So if you want clarification on anything, if you want suggestions or whatever you're using ChatGPT for, let us know, because we will have follow-up episodes. I appreciate
I feel like we should have Jason on a live, because then we could have like live questions from people, because this is so useful, and it's something that a lot of us haven't delved into. I feel like we should get Jason. We should get you on a
Yeah, let's
live.
do it.
I think between the other Jason, I mean, again, like I'm not like at this point, everything's catching up, and we all use it so differently. And like we've all got stuff that's very specific to our businesses and our little, workflows and things. But what I'm an expert in now may just be a baked in click a button feature tomorrow, on ChatGPT. So it's like, I agree. Like you just got to start. You just got to start. The best day to start was a year ago. Now the next best day is today, right? You just got
that's
to play
true.
with it.
So this episode is scheduled to release on 5/21. So I mean, yeah, let's all the three of us chat and figure out a day, give people at least 2 days to listen to it and whatnot, and then we'll do a day that we have a live and record our follow-up live and take some questions and
Dude, money. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
It is a hard thing to like, because everybody's at a different level, so it's like you don't want to start too bare bones. That's why I'm okay being big with it, because I guarantee you, Lap, now your brain it's opened up a bit about what's possible, and until you can see what's possible, you can't really start to kind of expand, like your thinking with it. You have to be like, damn, dude, you can create a program. I didn't know that, and then that makes you start thinking of like a whole new paradigm.
But the problem is you're intimidated. A lot of people are like, well, I couldn't start a program, because you feel like you can't start a program. But maybe that's a good thing. Say, just think of some random easy program you want to create and just tell Chat, hey, I have an idea for this program. Can you create it for me? And just kind of walk through that process, because
it'd be like, I don't know what.
I got started on that with the coding, but I didn't know that I could tell. It shot back coding towards me, but I didn't know where to plug the coding.
Just ask it.
So I didn't know. I didn't even think to ask.
Yeah,
and
so
like another simple thing that you could be doing right now. So our events girl, Maddie, we had some email issue, and she was going through forums and Reddits and different places trying to figure out the issue with this email issue. She had been working on it, couldn't figure it out, and finally I was like, have you tried Chat? And she asked Chat, and Chat said, open this log and paste it in, and she pasted it in, and it immediately told her what was wrong and how to fix it, because it has access to the logs. And exactly what's happening within the program, and it was fixed within 5 minutes, and she could it stepped her directly through the steps. Even if you don't
know. Yeah.
like, a lot of times if I go to a website and it looks overwhelming to me, I'll just go to chat and say, I need to unsubscribe from this website. Tell me how to do it. And I'll just say, click on the hamburger here, click on that, click on this, and then they'll just take you directly through the website. You don't have to poke around. And
nothing about APIs, like, the whole API world or webhooks. I knew nothing about any of that stuff, and it taught me all that. And like, what I'll do is like the API documentation. I'm like, this is Greek, dude. What is all this? Figure out what you need to know from this so that I can connect this thing to this thing, and then explain to me like I'm an 8th grader how to do that. And it goes, oh, okay, cool. Like, dude, that's the real power in this. Like I'm saying, you can steal this expertise. You don't have to be the expert. It's on tap. Like, now you can go to the fridge and pull out that expert on this thing, get the knowledge you need, accomplish the task, and then you put it back in the fridge and go back to it when you want it later, right?
Something more simple that's also complicated. Like, I had some things missing from Amazon, and if anyone's ever tried to call Amazon, it's a nightmare. But I asked chat, hey, how can I call Amazon?
Yeah.
Here's the phone number right here. This will get you right through to somebody. And I called that phone number and was on the phone with someone within like 5 minutes. I had someone on the phone.
That's great, dude. Yeah. I uploaded tax documents that like I had screwed up, and was like, I don't understand what I messed up on these. Like, why are these numbers wrong? And it was like, oh, well, all these, you need to put this here and do this and this, and go get this form because you're missing that form, and then put that on this form. And I'm like, this is tax prep. Like, I would have paid $800 for somebody to tell me how to do this. We can talk all day. Anyway.
Hey, it's a good idea. I'm going to throw all my tax docs into my GPT and see if it has the same results as
why Elon wants the data, man. Then they'll know all the. But no, I'm game to do whatever. Like I say, like, we're all doing different stuff. So whatever I can do that's helpful for you guys, let me know.
Yeah, we'll plan it towards the end of the month after it releases for a couple days. But I think that'll be very beneficial, and people enjoy that. So let's plan that. But we're gonna jump off right now. That's enough to get people's interest up and to start typing some stuff. Thinking and typing in some questions, and whether using chat for and whatnot. But anyways, thanks for joining us, especially such short notice. I think I messaged him like 5 minutes before we came on.
All good, guys. Hope something good came out of this. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll jump on.
Yeah, it was great. Always good. And we're going to be in your neighborhood in June. Look forward to getting together with you.
My friends.
Where are you based out of, Jason?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Okay. What's your company name?
Fotably. FOTABLY. So we do kind of everything we do is kind of unique, but we've got like our own enclosed booths that we've come up with. We've got our Velos portrait booth that we do now. Yeah, so all kinds of things.
How many enclosed booths do you have? Because that's the new thing. I'm sorry, I know we're supposed to jump off. I just want to know about the enclosed booths.
We have 2, but like, it's our design, it's our stuff, right? So yeah, they're definitely, they're designed to be easy to transport and set up and get around and all this good stuff. We're actually using a last mile delivery company now for like $200 to go pick it up and drop it in the thing and then come back and get it and put it back in storage.
I'm still on board, by the way. I've been pitching it to my planners and stuff, and they've been pitching it to their clients. We just haven't had anyone willing to pay the price point yet, which I wouldn't change. I believe it's fair. It's just, people.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
They're just not there yet, and it sucks because if we took it to a wedding show and people saw it, I think, it'd be an easy sell. But right now, maybe you should send me some more marketing material, because I just have been taking a couple screenshots and whatnot, and see if we can get it moving. But
yeah, it's all good, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I typically want some kind of traction before I purchase something.
100%.
I've been waiting so long to get these photobots not the photobots, the sketch bots, and
I gotta answer.
Every time it's like such short notice. All right, thanks, Jason.
Hey, friends. Yep, bye.
Hey.
But we finally pulled the trigger on the sketchbots, because this guy called and he's like, can you do it in 10 days? And we're like, I don't know, let me call.
Let's see what we can do.
And called Al and was like, hey, can you have this to me in 7 days so I can test it for 3 days? And he said, here's the payment link. So got it over here, and I did some testing last night. I'll finish testing today, and that event's right around the corner. But anyways, let's wrap this up. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for that Facebook Live. It'll be here in the next week or so.
Yeah.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.